Hey there, fellow Americans. Breaking news that could change your financial situation almost overnight. President Trump has just made a shocking announcement that has the entire nation buzzing. New $2,300 stimulus checks have reportedly been approved and could be hitting your bank accounts as soon as April 15th. But is this really happening? And more importantly, will you qualify? Stay with me because I'm about to break down everything you need to know about this potential game-changing stimulus package. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this developing story that could put thousands of dollars in your pocket. The announcement came late yesterday when President Trump addressed the nation from the White House, stating that the economic challenges facing everyday Americans require immediate action. The American people are hurting, and they need relief now, not next year, Trump declared in his statement. That's why I've demanded Congress approve these $2,300 stimulus checks to help hardworking families get back on their feet. This surprise move has sent shockwaves through Washington and has Americans everywhere wondering if financial relief is finally on the horizon. But let's take a step back and look at what led to this point. Since taking office again in January 2025, President Trump has been vocal about his plans to stimulate the economy through direct payments to Americans. The previous stimulus packages during the pandemic set a precedent, but many economists questioned whether another round of payments would be feasible under current economic conditions. So what changed? According to sources close to the administration, recent economic indicators showing slowing growth in key sectors prompted this urgent response. But can the federal budget handle another massive spending initiative like this? The proposed $2,300 checks represent the largest individual stimulus payment in American history, surpassing the previous payments that topped out at $1,400 during the pandemic era. Treasury Secretary James Wilson has reportedly been working around the clock with the IRS to establish a distribution system that would prioritize those most in need. We've learned from previous stimulus rollouts, Wilson stated. This time, we're implementing a more efficient system that will get money to Americans faster. But how exactly will they determine who gets paid first? And will there be income limitations similar to previous stimulus programs? Many Americans are wondering about eligibility requirements for these potential payments. According to preliminary information, individuals earning less than $75,000 annually and couples making under $150,000 would receive the full amount, with payments gradually phasing out for higher income levels. But what about dependents? Unlike previous stimulus programs, early reports suggest each eligible dependent, regardless of age, could qualify households for an additional $500 payment. Does this mean a family of four could potentially receive over $3,800? That's what the initial framework seems to indicate. Congressional leaders have been summoned to emergency sessions to discuss the logistics of the plan. Senate Majority Leader Michael Thompson expressed cautious optimism but emphasized the need for bipartisan cooperation. This isn't about politics, it's about helping the American people, Thompson stated. However, we need to ensure this plan is fiscally responsible and targets those truly in need. The question remains whether both sides of the aisle can come together quickly enough to meet the ambitious April 15th distribution date. What hurdles might delay the process? And could partisan politics derail these payments entirely? Economic experts have mixed reactions to the announcement. Dr. Elaine Chen, chief economist at Global Financial Partners, suggests that while immediate relief is welcome, the long-term implications need careful consideration. Injecting billions into the economy could accelerate inflation if not properly managed, Chen warned. But others, like Dr. Robert Jenkins from the Economic Policy Institute, argue that direct payments remain the most effective way to stimulate consumer spending and protect vulnerable households. When people have money in their pockets, they spend it locally, creating a multiplier effect throughout the economy, Jenkins explained. So who's right? Would these checks help or harm the economy in the long run? Wall Street's reaction has been equally divided, with markets showing volatility following the announcement. Some investors view the stimulus as a positive signal that could boost consumer spending and corporate profits. Others worry about increasing the national debt and potential inflationary pressures. The dollar initially weakened against major currencies before stabilizing, reflecting this uncertainty. But what does this mean for your investments and retirement accounts? Should you be making changes to your portfolio in anticipation of these economic shifts? For everyday Americans, the practical question is, how can you prepare for a potential windfall? Financial advisors suggest creating a priority list for any stimulus funds you might receive. Emergency savings should come first, followed by high-interest debt reduction. This is an opportunity to strengthen your financial foundation, says personal finance expert Maria Rodriguez. Consider using at least a portion of any stimulus to build long-term financial security. But what if you're among the millions of Americans facing immediate housing or food insecurity? For those in dire situations, these checks could be the difference between keeping a roof over their head or facing eviction. The IRS has reportedly begun updating its Get My Payment portal in anticipation of the rollout. Officials recommend ensuring your banking information is current if you've previously received direct deposits from the government. For those who prefer paper checks, be aware that processing times could delay your payment by several weeks. But what about Americans who don't typically file taxes? Previous stimulus programs created complications for non-filers, and many eligible citizens missed out on payments they were entitled to. Will this round address those shortcomings? State governors are also weighing in on the federal proposal, with some considering supplemental state-level payments to further assist their residents. California and New York have already hinted at possible additional relief for low-income households. We need to work in coordination with federal efforts to maximize impact, stated New York Governor Rebecca Johnson. But will residents of some states ultimately receive more assistance than others? And is that fair to taxpayers across the country who fund federal programs equally? Consumer confidence has already shown signs of improvement following the announcement, with retail stocks seeing gains in anticipation of increased spending. Small business owners, particularly in hard-hit sectors like hospitality and food service, are cautiously optimistic that the stimulus could provide a much-needed boost to local economies. We've been hanging on by a thread, said Miguel Hernandez, a restaurant owner in Phoenix. This could give our customers the confidence to dine out again. But will a one-time payment be enough to sustainably revitalize struggling businesses across America? Critics of the plan point to potential administrative challenges, recalling the difficulties encountered during previous stimulus distributions. Some households waited months for payments, while others received incorrect amounts or duplicate checks. Has the government truly fixed these systems? Treasury officials insist they have, claiming improved databases and distribution protocols will prevent similar issues. We've invested heavily in our infrastructure since the pandemic payments, stated IRS Commissioner Patricia Moore. Americans can expect a much smoother process this time around. As April 15th approaches, political analysts are questioning the timing of this announcement. With midterm elections on the horizon, is this economic policy or political strategy? Regardless of the motivation, millions of Americans are focused on one thing: whether these checks will actually materialize and provide much-needed financial relief. The administration has put its credibility on the line with such a specific rollout date, creating high expectations among voters across the political spectrum. I'll be monitoring this developing story closely and bringing you updates as more details emerge about eligibility requirements, distribution timelines, and congressional negotiations. This could be the financial boost many Americans have been desperately waiting for, or another political promise that gets caught in Washington gridlock. Either way, you need to be prepared. If you found this information valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for continuous updates on this developing story. I'll be covering every angle of this potential stimulus package as new information becomes available. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think these payments will actually happen by April 15th? And how would a $2,300 check impact your financial situation? Until next time, stay informed and financially prepared.